Have you ever found yourself lying in bed late at night, staring at the ceiling and quietly wondering, would life be better with someone beside me? Or is it actually better just the way it is? If you're over 65, chances are you've had moments like this. Maybe after a divorce. Maybe after losing someone you loved. Or maybe just after a few years of peaceful solitude that now have you questioning, is this enough? The world tells us we're better together. That being single in old age is a problem to solve. That love, romantic, partnered love, is the cure for loneliness, the key to health, and the only true path to happiness. But let me gently offer a new perspective. Is that really always true? The side of late-life relationships nobody talks about. We don't talk enough about what really happens in relationships after 65. We glorify companionship. And yes, when it works, it can be beautiful. But what happens when it doesn't? What happens when peace becomes tension? When independence becomes compromise? When love becomes another thing you have to manage? Mark, a viewer in his 60s, put it plainly. I didn't realize how much of myself I'd lost until she left. Now, I truly enjoy the freedom of single life. This isn't bitterness. This is clarity. Because for many seniors, bringing someone into your world later in life doesn't lead to joy. It leads to emotional exhaustion. Emotional exhaustion, the quiet tax of late love. By the time we reach our 60s and 70s, we've been through a lot. Raising families, caring for parents, navigating relationships, managing careers. We've given, sacrificed, showed up, and finally, we've carved out a rhythm that works. A quiet life that feels like a soft exhale. And then, a new relationship enters. At first, it might feel exciting. The company, the conversation, the spark. But slowly, things begin to shift. Gil shared this. I used to think being around many women was fulfilling, but looking back, it wasn't. This chapter of life has brought me closer to Jesus, and that growing intimacy is something I'm deeply grateful for. He didn't need more companionship. He needed peace. And he found it, not in a partner, but in purpose. Because even the kindest, most well-meaning partner comes with their own needs, habits, and routines. And without realizing it, you may find yourself caregiving again, compromising again, tiptoeing again. All those things you were ready to be done with, suddenly back on your plate. And if you've ever found yourself thinking, why am I more tired now that I'm with someone? You're not alone. Brenda said. It's heartbreaking to watch a dear friend suffer from anxiety and health issues because she's stuck in a toxic, controlling relationship. It makes me cherish my own peace and the joy I've found in solitude. Sometimes being alone is not a problem. Sometimes it's the solution. The disappearing act, loss of autonomy. Here's another hidden cost no one prepares you for. The slow disappearance of your independence. You start shifting your schedule around someone else's. You eat when they're hungry. Watch what they like. Maybe you give up your morning walks because they prefer to sleep in. Little things. Quiet things. But over time, they add up. Larry, 68, said it best. Being alone has shown me how freeing it is to live life exactly the way I want. No compromises. No emotional strain. That's not selfish. That's sacred. Because after 65, your routines aren't just habits. They're anchors. They give your life rhythm, predictability, control. Bringing someone else into that rhythm, it might not feel like romance. It might feel like retraining yourself to please someone else. Again, this isn't about anti-love. It's about pro-you. Let me be clear. This isn't about saying love is bad. It's about saying your peace, your time, your energy, they're precious. And if being single is what protects those things, then maybe that's not a sad ending. Maybe that's the smartest, bravest choice you've ever made. Next, we'll talk about finances, freedom, family pressure, and why choosing to stay single could actually extend your peace, your health, and your joy. But for now, just remember, You don't need a partner to be whole. You just need permission to keep choosing yourself. The love tax, when romance costs more than it gives. Let's talk about something most people avoid when discussing love later in life: money. Because at 65 plus, your finances aren't just about budgets. They're about security. They represent everything you've worked for. Every smart decision. Every sacrifice. And now you finally have a little breathing room. Until someone new walks in with charm, companionship, and quiet expectations. Paul, a 60-year-old retiree, shared this. I enjoy my time alone, but whenever I meet someone, especially younger, my adult children get defensive. It's hard to navigate. It's not just hard. It's complicated. Because new relationships don't just involve you. They ripple into your finances, your legacy, and your family dynamic. The silent strain, financial entanglement without protection. Maybe you start covering more meals than you should. Maybe you feel pressured to share more. Groceries, bills, even housing. And before you know it, your money isn't just yours anymore. It's tied to someone else's needs, habits, and decisions. Michelle, a widow at 68, put it plainly. I have no interest in marrying again. I'm truly enjoying my peace and solitude. Because here's what many seniors, especially women, find out too late. Love without legal clarity can still lead to financial chaos. Shared leases, shared credit, shared health responsibilities, all without the protections of a will, prenup, or clear agreement. And if you do marry? Their debt, their care costs, even their children's financial needs might quietly become yours. Is that love? Or is it risk dressed in romance? The freedom you didn't know you'd miss. Next, let's talk about something even more precious than money: your time. Your pace. Your space. When you've lived independently, you get used to moving to your own rhythm. A morning walk. Tea in silence. Your favorite chair, your favorite book, your own sweet order of things. Until suddenly, someone else's voice fills the quiet. Colleen said something deeply honest. We older folks can spot when something's not right much faster. A partner who drains your identity is a burden. At any age. Even the best relationships demand compromise. But at this age, every compromise costs more energy, more emotional labor, more time you'll never get back. And if you've finally carved out a peaceful routine that works for you, why trade it for shared tension and silent resentments? When love sparks conflict in your own family, there's another side of late-life relationships people don't prepare you for: family friction. Charity's story is a loving one. My parents were married for 40 years before my mom passed. I told my dad I'd support him no matter what, but he has no interest in dating. He's happy, peaceful. I'm 10 minutes away if he ever needs anything. That's beautiful. Supportive. Rare. But for many seniors, dating after 65 comes with resistance from adult children. They worry about your safety, your money, your vulnerability. Sometimes, they just don't want to share your attention. Mark shared something we hear often. I'm 64, happy and drama-free, but my married and miserable friends keep hoping I'll find someone. I don't have the energy to play the game. I love my peaceful life just as it is. And honestly, that peace is more valuable than anyone else's expectations. Because love should never be forced to compete with your family, your sanity, or your own wisdom. Freedom isn't selfish. It's sacred. When you choose to remain single, you're not avoiding love. You're choosing a different kind of love. The love that lets you wake up without tension. That lets you nap when you want, cook what you want, and leave the house without checking in. That lets you protect your time, your money, your quiet. And that kind of love? That's called freedom. Peter asked a bold but honest question. Are we really meant to stay compatible long term, or are we forcing something that doesn't fit, just because society says we should? The answer is yours to decide. But don't let tradition rob you of the truth. Sometimes, solitude is the healthiest relationship you'll ever have. Perfect. We've arrived at the heart of it. Let's take a quiet moment and breathe together. You've heard a lot by now about emotional exhaustion, financial entanglement, family pressure, and the subtle erosion of freedom that can come with late-life relationships. But this final part? It's not about the risks anymore. It's about what you gain when you choose yourself. Your voice is the one you've been waiting for. If you've lived through marriage, child-rearing, caregiving, or all three, then chances are you've spent decades shaping your life around the needs of others. You learn to keep the peace.to, avoid conflict.to, silence your thoughts when they didn't fit the moment. But now, in your 60s, 70s, or even 80s, this is your time. This is when your voice returns, and no partner, however charming, should ever cause that voice to dim again. Colleen said it best. A partner who drains your identity is a burden, at any age. And she's right. Because the most sacred thing you'll ever protect isn't your routine or your money, it's your sense of self. Lonely? Or just finally alone with yourself? Let's talk about the thing no one wants to admit. Even in a relationship, you can feel lonely. In fact, some of the most hollow moments of your life might have happened while lying next to someone who no longer truly saw you. So when people ask, "Aren't you lonely?" here's what you can say. Being alone isn't the same as being lonely. In solitude you can find stillness that heals, routines that restore, time that belongs entirely to you. Mark, now in his 60s, said something powerful. My married and miserable friends keep hoping I'll find someone. But honestly, I don't have the energy to play the game. I love my peaceful life just as it is. That's not resignation. That's wisdom. This isn't anti-relationship. It's pro-peace. Look, we're not saying love has no place after 65. If the right person comes along, someone who honors your space, your values, your pace, that's beautiful. But what we are saying is this. You no longer need to sacrifice yourself to be loved. You don't have to perform or settle or shrink. Gil, preparing to turn 67, shared this beautiful truth. This chapter of life has brought me closer to Jesus, and that growing intimacy is something I'm deeply grateful for. There truly is no one like him. For some, peace comes in faith. For others, in community. For many, it comes in finally, tenderly choosing yourself. You are already whole. You are not still single. You are not left behind. You are not waiting for a partner to arrive and make you whole. You are already whole. You are already living a life full of value, joy, wisdom, and beauty. Michelle said it plainly. After 47 years of marriage, my husband passed. I'm 68 now, and I have no interest in marrying again. I'm truly enjoying my peace and solitude. Peace isn't a placeholder. Solitude isn't second best. This life you've created, on your terms, is not a consolation prize. It's the prize. Let's keep the conversation going. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What's something you've learned about love, freedom, or solitude in your golden years? Or if you've been doubting yourself lately, what part of today's conversation gave you permission to breathe easier? Drop a comment below. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear tonight. And if this message spoke to you, click like, hit subscribe, and most of all, share this with someone who still believes they're less than without a partner. Remind them, they are more than enough. You're not waiting for love. You're living in it. You don't need a partner to be in love. You can fall in love every day, with peace, with purpose, with yourself. So take up space, speak boldly, laugh loudly, rest when you want, protect your joy like the treasure it is. Because this isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of the most honest, peaceful, powerful chapter yet. You are not alone. You are becoming. And this single life, it's not a backup plan. It's your masterpiece.